Skyward. So Skyward, written by Brandon Sanderson, is his newest young adult sci-fi fantasy novel. So Skyward takes place on this planet far away from Earth, and humans have been trapped on it for about 100 years. And the humans on this planet have been under constant siege from this alien race called the Krell. Now, the only way the humans can fight the Krell are by using fighter ships. Pilots are extremely important. You are highly respected, and you're probably one of the most important people of the society. And this is where we're introduced to Spensa. She's the daughter of one of the very first pilots. However, in one of the earlier battles, turns out her father was branded a coward because he ran away and he was shot down by his own people. Spensa, now a teenager, looks up to her father. Her father's her idol, and she wants to become a pilot just like him. However, being branded the daughter of a coward, there's going to be some social barriers that she's going to have to fight through. And the stigma around her is obviously going to give her a lot of problems. So in essence, this is a book about Spensa breaking through those barriers, becoming a pilot, showing people that you're your own person and you don't have to live by your parents' legacy. Now, being a YA novel, this book was relatively predictable. There weren't many things that kind of caught me off guard. It reuses many of the young adult fantasy tropes that we've seen throughout the genre. And I don't necessarily mean that as a bad thing. It just, again, YA is very predictable. However, something that I really did like about this book was the growth that Spensa showed within just the first book alone. So her transformation over the course of the book impressed me. And I haven't really read any other young adult fantasies that have shown so much character progression in a single book. And none of her transformation really felt forced. It was very natural in her progression. Now, I just want to note one thing. I am a sucker for a comic relief character. A good comic relief character, mind you. And Brandon Sanderson had me laughing quite a few times throughout this book. There's one character in particular that you meet early on, and some of his lines are just dumb, stupid fun. I could really appreciate a character that brings light to a lot of darker situations that the character has to be in. And even if the character's not in a dark place, just some of the funny one-liners that this character had just kind of broke up some of the slower parts of the book for me. Not to say that this book was slow. I think the pacing in this book was great. I think it's one of the best things about this book. You had the more emotional, touchy-feely scenes that lasted just long enough for you to get the point of it and to drive the narrative forward. And then you had the battle scenes that were neither too long nor too short. In fact, at the end of Skyward, in the acknowledgments, Brandon Sanderson brings up the fact that he consulted with actual pilots in the real world to really make sure that the flight scenes and all of the battles that happen in the air feel very natural and very realistic. And I think that worked out in his favor. They really did seem realistic. Nothing really kind of stood out to me. And again, if you enjoy the fight scenes from Mistborn or Warbreaker, I think you're really going to enjoy the flight battle scenes that are in Skyward. Something I want to touch on is that I really enjoyed the ending of this book. While reading Skyward, I could never really pinpoint where the story was heading. And to be more clear on that, Brandon Sanderson never explicitly stated in the first act of the book what the main goal of the plot was. So if you take a book like Red Rising, for example, in the beginning of the book, you find out the characters' goals and what they're trying to reach in the very beginning. The main goal is to bring down society. You find that out pretty early on. Another good example, Lord of the Rings. You find out very early on that the main plot is to destroy the One Ring. And one last example would be that of the Mistborn trilogy. Again, first couple of chapters, you find out what the characters' motivations are and where the plot is going. However, when it comes to Skyward, Sanderson never spells it out for you. And I really enjoyed that mystery behind Skyward. It wasn't until the last 30 or so pages that you really started to see the bigger picture. It set up a lot of clues and hints as to where the story could be heading. And that really makes me excited for the sequel. At the end of the day, if you really enjoy Brandon Sanderson's writing style, I highly recommend you give Skyward a shot. Skyward was a lot of fun to read. I think I finished the book in about 3 or 4 days. You could finish this over a single weekend. and the story has me heavily invested. I will be picking up the sequel. So with that, I think I'm going to rate Skyward a solid 4.5 stars. It's one of the better young adult novels that I've read relatively recently. So, Skyward, have you read it? What you think about it? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section down below. And if you want to see more book reviews, you can go ahead and click right here to see more. And until next time, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I'll see you next time.